Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. Nothing you can make that can't be made. No one you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. Here we go. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. If you know that isn't no, thanks, Alan. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. Who you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. Here we go. Ready? All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All together now. All you need is love. Everybody. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. 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 Great. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Linda Kinney, today's worship associate, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster. It is May, Pan-Asian American Heritage Month, Jewish American Heritage Month, and Mental Health Awareness Month. Today is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day, and thank you to all the mothers out there. On this day in 1867, a riot broke out in Mobile, Alabama, when a white supremacist made incendiary comments in a mixed crowd of blacks and whites, comments calculated to invite a riot, which they did. Guns were fired, leaving 3 dead and 2 wounded. On this day in 1985, Philadelphia police, with the apparent blessing of the mayor, dropped an explosive device on the headquarters of Black Liberation MOVE organization. 11 people, including 5 children, were killed and 61 homes were engulfed in fire. And on this day in 2013, the National Council of Justice ruled that notary publics in Brazil could no longer refuse to perform same-sex ceremonies. Here we come together to nourish the spirit, connect in love, and act for justice. We welcome you this morning, just as you are. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, however you identify, today you are part of the spiritual community. And if this is your first time here, may you soon discover this is also your spiritual community. And as has become our custom, let us give a special welcome to all of those joining the service this morning on Zoom. So I invite those on Zoom to turn your camera on and share a wave together. And everyone in the sanctuary, let's wave at the camera at the back of the sanctuary to send our greetings. During our time together, please do what you need to feel fully present in the space, move, sway, walk around. If doing something with your hands helps you feel present, please feel free to use the hands-on materials on the tables in the Women's Memorial Room. So I would like to invite board member Carol Campbell to come up and say a few words.
Good morning and happy Mother's Day to all you mothers. I also welcome you this morning, not just to this space and time, but let us acknowledge in this sacred space the truth of the land beneath us and around us. We are gathered on land once inhabited by people known as the Susquehannock and the Conestoga. We acknowledge the violent legacies of genocide, displacement, and settlement that led to us being here today, and remind ourselves of to live humbly in relationship with this land and with all the indigenous people still living and loving on this continent. Many indigenous people say all are relatives. May we live into this truth and aspiration together. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our minister, Reverend Patricia Guthman Harris. Never know if I get that name
That's
just
okay.
right.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Linda, Eli, and Ellen, and Steph, and our whole tech crew. Thank you, everybody, and all the mothers. When I think about, for me, that I'm very fortunate that I have a mom that I love like crazy. But I know that's maybe not true for everybody. My mom always said for herself, I had two moms, a biological mom and a stepmom, and neither one loved me. And I think because of that, she made sure that we were loved and knew better than she knew. So I don't know if you, every once in a while on email, will get one of these mass emails, a big wonderful quote with a lot of wisdom. A long time ago, I got one of those that didn't feel quite right, so I made it my own, and I made it into a Mother's Day litany. So with the idea in mind that Mother's Day can be a joy, a sorrow, a complex truth, I give to you this litany. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a little bit, I'm going to say a phrase, and when I put my hand out, that means I'm hoping you'll repeat the phrase. So why don't we do a little practice? Blah, 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 blah. Blessed are the mothers. Blessed are the mothers. That was awesome. Okay, let's go. On this day, Mother's Day, we wish to remember all those who have given birth and aided in creation. Blessed are the mothers of creation. Blessed are the mothers of creation. Let us remember all the mothers who have stayed up into the night, walking around the house, holding babies when they kept crying and wouldn't stop, or rocking sick toddlers in their arms, the mothers who read a favorite story twice a night for at least a year, and then read it again when a little voice said, please, just one more time. Blessed are the mothers. Blessed are the mothers. Let us remember all the mothers who carried their child so tenderly within their womb, only to lose them before or shortly after birth. The mothers who gave birth to babies they'll never see, and the mothers who took those babies and gave them homes. Adoptive and foster mothers and stepmothers and single mothers raising children on their own. Blessed are the mothers. Blessed are the mothers. Let us remember all those who have chosen or were chosen by circumstances beyond their control not to raise children, those who give of themselves in other ways to the greater circle of humanity, creation, and the future. Blessed are those who have given of themselves. Blessed are those who have given of themselves. Let us remember the mothers whose hearts ache Each time they see their child disappear out the door, on the first day of elementary school, of college, and when their children finally leave home. Let us also remember those mothers who feel guilty when they don't miss their children, and those who now may only visit their children at the graveside. Let us remember all the mothers who are learning how to let go. May they have strength. Let us remember all the mothers whose children have gone astray, who can't find the words to reach them, and the children who can't find the words to say to their mothers, the mothers and children searching for ways to find forgiveness in their hearts after all these years. May they have peace. And Linda, if you'd light the chalice. Blessed are the mothers. And let us sing. Eli will lead us and comfort me. It's number 1002 in the teal hymnal.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. If you might sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, speak for me. Speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Comfort me, ready? Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing out. Comfort me, comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul.
And now is the time in the service. If you're a child in spirit or by age, you're welcome to come up and join me because I need help figuring out what's in the Wonder Box. Anyone come on up and help me? Good morning. So I wonder, since it looks like we got folks up here, would anyone help me open up this box and might be in here? We got a person. Should we open up? 1, 2, 3. What do you see? Should we bring out the picture and see who that is? Wow, thank you. So that's a picture, an old picture. You can have a seat if it makes you comfortable. Oh, we'll help you though. Do you know what? This is a picture of a Unitarian. And her name is Julia Ward Howe. Julia Ward Howe. Does anyone know anywhere in the room what she's most known for? Have you ever heard of the Battle Hymn of the Republic? Glory, glory, right? She wrote the words. She's also got her name on a stained glass window in the Women's Memorial Room. But what's the special day today? Do you remember what the special day is today? You are so right. It's Mother's Day. And Julia Ward Howe had a little something to do with Mother's Day. There were a couple of ladies who had something to do with it before Congress voted for the second Sunday, is that right, in May, to be Mother's Day. That's right. So first I want to talk about, let's see, what is her name? Anna Reeves Jarvis. In 1858, so over 150 years ago, Anna organized Mothers' Work Days in West Virginia. Now, where she was in the Appalachian Mountains, and those were tough places to be, especially for the moms and all the work that the moms did. So she wanted to improve life in the communities in those mountains, and was particularly concerned about the care for the wounded during the Civil War. And she would convene meetings to work towards peace. And then about 15 years later, Julia Ward Howe proposed an annual Mother's Day, but not what I think has become our hallmark holiday of Mother's Day, but it was, again, to think about peace. And she wrote a Mother's Day proclamation for peace. Google it when you get home. And she thought about the sacrifices of the mothers, the fathers they were losing in the Civil War, the brothers and the uncles and the cousins and the husbands and the sons. And she was trying to appeal to all the mothers to ask for peace. So for the next 30 years, the Mother's Day of Peace was celebrated on June 2nd. And then in 1913, and that was about, I know you're doing all this arithmetic in your head, that was about 110 years ago, the United States declared the second Sunday in May to be Mother's Day. And instead of this day of peace, it was also to consider all the sacrifices that mothers make for their babies. So on Mother's Day, do remember to think and celebrate your moms and every mom you know. But you can also thank Unitarian Julia Ward Howe for Battle Hymn of the Republic, but also for the Mother's Day of Peace and Mother's Day, and having a hand in making this a special day for moms. Now, I understand last week folks looked for Clara Barton's name back in the Women's Memorial Room. So while Eli leads you out, singing you out, by the way, for those of you who have to pick up children at the end of the day, everybody's going to the nursery on the first floor, both the older children and the younger children. That's where they'll all be, okay? But maybe you can find that window that has Julia Ward Howe's name on it before you go, right? So Eli.
This is number 1057 in your teal hymnal, the blue one, if you'd like to sing along. Go lift it up. Go lift it up. Love bless your way. Moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace and the brightness of day.
They found it. If you want to look for Julia Ward Howe's name at the end of the service, she's above the recording booth and the sound booth.
Say hi to Bob on your way back there.
Say hi to Bob, who's right in front of the window. So let us breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Find our heart, which is at the center of us and everything, beating as we breathe in, we breathe out on this Mother's Day, however it feels to you, wherever it brings you. As we are in this place in our heart, I'm going to share some words adapted from Christine Kenny, her poem called I Am Mother. But maybe as I read it and as you're in this place of prayer and meditation, she talks about child. Maybe if you image yourself as the child in this prayer meditation. What do I dream for you, my child? That you feel loved deeply, that you know you are truly worthy, that you are never hungry or cold or thirsty, that you are safe and you never fear for your life. My child, may your soul be soothed by soft music, enchanted by alluring words. May you wake in wonder to a glorious sunrise and feel the warmth of those rays for years to come. May you be stirred by the soft velvet of a lush forest floor. And may your heart dance to a serenade of bird song. May you watch salty surf wipe away your footprints in the sand. And may you see soft snowflakes pile on pine boughs cascading fragrantly up the mountainside. My child, may you feel life's deepest beauty, and may you embrace it on the most profound levels. May you always be intimate with truth and peace. Indeed, there will be dark hours, but my child, they are short. And that pain can open the door to light, yours and all the world's. May you create friendships, meaningful friendships, and embrace the truest form of love. May you bask in the joy of family for generations. My child, may you appreciate the colors and the voices of our world, and may they all enjoy yours as well. May you always be happy and healthy and safe, and may you feel unwavering devotion in every moment, despite any miles between us. May it be so. And this is the time when we will share. I'm going to share some spoken joys, sorrows, complex truths, and then I will invite you in silence to come forward. Linda will plant a stone with each joy, sorrow, complex truth as I speak them, and then you're welcome to come up and in silence plant a stone. May we think of them like a seed that shoots out roots and tendrils of love and compassion and joy and strength. On the one hand, I feel like I'm saying this every Sunday, but I'm going to say it anyway. A stone of sadness and compassion with so many tragic shootings. On the year anniversary of the shooting in the grocery store in Buffalo, that's been a whole year away. So many shootings that are happening. May there be action we take on our own, action by the politicians, action by those who can make a difference so that we can decrease these shootings. May we spread love and understanding. And of course, a ton of stones for all the mothers that we can think of. There's the mothers biological, there's the mothers adoptive foster, there's the mothers that we decide are gonna be a mom in our lives, whether they like it or not. There's all the grandmas, the aunts and sisters we know, those people in our lives we just look at and think, oh, you are mother to me, I love you. So a bunch of those stones. And for you mothers who are still up at night with newborns and all those things, bless you. I'm looking at one, right? I just think of how tired I was when I had my newbie. Anyway, blessed this Mother's Day. And a little one I'm going to throw in. So I'm driving here. For those of you who don't know, I drive about an hour and 55 minutes to get to you every Sunday. I'm a hybrid minister. And because during the week I'm in Maryland. On my way, I'm listening and, I'm kind of thinking of the Sunday and all the things I'm thinking. And I hear on the radio, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Lancaster will dedicate their memorial next Saturday at a block party. It was on the radio. Woo! So the word is out, you better come next Saturday, okay? The block party. That's like joy, 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 lots of stones, right?
I heard there's a great local band.
And there's this band of many of our own in the congregation who are going to be playing. And we actually got the permission to like really cordon off the block. So come, I'll be there, even though I only come on Sundays. I'm coming, okay? So it will be in the paper too. So, and even afterwards, I think we're getting coverage. Anyway, that was a fun joy as I was coming up here on this beautiful day. But at this time, as I promised, I welcome you if you would come in silence and plant those joys, sorrows, and celebrations and complex truths that are resting on your heart at this time.
Sorry is all that you can't say. Years gone by and still words don't come easily. Like sorry. Forgive me is all that you can't say. Years gone by and still like forgive me, forgive me. But you can say, baby, baby, can I hold you tonight? Maybe if I told you the right words at the right time, you'd be mine. I love you is all that you can't say. Years gone by and still words don't come easily. Like I love you, I love you. But you can say, baby, baby, can I hold you tonight? Maybe if I told you the right words, oh, at the right time, you'd be mine. Baby, can I hold you tonight? Maybe if I told you the right words, oh, at the right time, you'd be mine. You'd be mine. You'd be mine.
How little it takes to make us sad. A word of derision or contempt is enough. A sharp word of criticism or a face turned away, and a shrug of the shoulders. An unthinking word or a deed of omission. Yes, how little it takes to pass a cloud over a sky otherwise bright, or to chill the wind that is blown warm and friendly. And how little it takes to make us happy. Only a cheery hello from a passing friend. Only a sign of understanding from a neighbor or a coworker. Only the inner satisfaction of knowing that a good piece of work has been brought in, and knowing that others know it too. How it takes very little to make our world a pretty good world after all, and everybody in it, the salt of the earth to us. It takes very little to make us anxious, no more than a vagrant thought or a whispered threat, no more than the remotest possibility of danger to someone we love, no more than a vague disquiet, which comes sometimes from we know not where. Yet it takes very little to set the heart to fluttering and start worrisome thoughts running circles in the mind. Likewise, it takes very little to make us brave. Someone's confidence in us is enough. Someone's dependence on us in a pinch. Someone's hero worship of us, no matter how unheroic we feel. Yes, it takes very little to nerve us to stand up to life. And since it doesn't take much to lift the sad from their sorrow, deliver the fearful from their fear, and rally the wavering, isn't it a crime not to do so when and where the opportunity is ripe? Who can ever justify such failure?
Well, I think between the song and the reading, Enough said. That was powerful. I think my parents have been a huge example for me in my life. I think of, I don't know if you've ever heard Minnesota Nice. I'm from Minnesota. And I think it's exemplified when I would walk with my mom anywhere. And she would greet people like she had known them forever. Good, hi, good morning, isn't it nice weather, da da da. And then would move on and I'd say, Mom, who was that? Oh, I don't know, somebody, you know. That we could just think of everyone that way as we walk by as worthy of a good morning and how you doing, and not treat them like a stranger or with derision, right? And I don't know why it is in life it can be so hard to say words like I'm sorry or I forgive you. I didn't mean to. I love you, right? I don't know why we stopped talking to each other so many years ago, and it's so hard to reach out now. I miss you, right? Let's be friends again. And maybe maybe we'd have more people in the pews this morning if I didn't say we were talking about forgiveness. It's not an easy topic, is it? And I think about Everett Worthington. If you ever want to read works, his own personal story is in one book, and a lot of research he's done on forgiveness. This is a quote from Everett Worthington. Unforgiveness builds a putrid layer scattered with bones in which a giant dragon sits on 10 ruminations, thinking them to be solid gold. Unforgiveness. So I want to imagine in your mind, you're the dragon in a cave, all your gold in front of you that you guard against others. Guard and protect and hold on to. It's hurt and it's righteousness and it's I told you so and it's resentment and it's anger and rationalization, right? You just hang on to it because you're right and you hang on to that. Why don't you come to me first and say you're sorry? How come I got to come to you? That dragon in the cave holding on to those 10 ruminations, how we can hold on to hurt and resentment. And so Everett Worthington, his whole work had been forgiveness and letting go and releasing all of that. And he didn't just study it. He first did, and then it became a reality for him. He was already a well-known writer and researcher on the topic. And then his mother was murdered. She had caught 2 youths in her house in the midst of robbing her. They didn't know they didn't plan on her being there. And out of not knowing what to do, they killed her. At first, forgiveness was the furthest thing from his mind. There was anger, revenge, wanting justice. He said, wanting vigilante justice. But he found himself confronted with his firmest convictions. He was like, okay, this is my professional work. I got to figure out how to do forgiveness here. How do I release my resentment and my anger and my bitterness, my hatred? He wrote, forgiveness means giving a gift that embodies freedom and love. It's not just giving a gift to someone else, but it's releasing your own heart and soul when you forgive. Even when we haven't had such an extreme experience like that of a murder of a loved one, often our immediate reaction when we are hurt or wronged is this overwhelming feeling of revenge or justice. I want them to hurt like I felt hurt, or I want them to know how angry I am. how it feels. We feel we should stand up for ourselves. And besides, if someone wrongs me, hurts my feelings, shouldn't they come to me? Shouldn't they come to me and say they're sorry? Shouldn't they want to do something to right this wrong? Why should I forgive them? I was in the right, they were in the wrong. This can also keep us from letting go of that ever watchful and protective dragon. Some told Worthington that forgiveness would take away his motivation to catch his mother's killer. If he refused to forgive others, it would benefit other victims of crime. He was told if you forgive, it's cowardly. Some even suggested that forgiveness short-circuited grief. Yet Worthington believed that forgiveness works hand in glove with grieving to help resolve it faster and more thoroughly. He realized his mother was gone and nothing could restore what had been taken away. Whether he forgave or not wouldn't affect his mother or what had happened. However, he could honor her memory by living out the values of love and mercy that she had passed on to him. He admitted that he really didn't want to forgive, but that he was just too weary of struggling with the anger and the hatred. He wanted relief from that. He felt forgiveness was the only way he could find peace in his heart. So that's a pretty clear example of something so hard and needing forgiveness, right? Of being hurt and wronged. Most would agree that his loss of his mother was a clear example of needing justice and that it was not just. However, in less extreme situations, we may not even be sure we should be feeling hurt or angry. In reality or in our imagination, there seemed to be some past time when social etiquette was clearer. Like this was always wrong and this was always right. I think sometimes people feel in our contemporary times, it's a little messier, knowing when I should be upset at someone or not, or when I should be polite, or when I should let it go, and all those things. I mean, it was great back in the olden days, like biblical times. If you felt bad, you could just like do a burnt offering or something and get it out of your system, and move on. It's a little harder when we don't have a real clear way of dealing with our wrongdoings, right? We don't put people out in the town square anymore with a big sign that said, I was an adulterer, and we could throw our garbage outside. We just don't do that anymore. It's a little more under the radar, I guess, trying to deal with our feelings. We put on a public face of everything's okay, everything's good, we're good, right? And then we stuff it, and someone says something, and we just explode, right? And nobody understands why. Without really delving into our real feelings and figuring all this out, it's hard to release that dragon. We have to take some risks. We have to be vulnerable sometimes. When it seems to be an insignificant incident, something we think we have overreacted to, or perhaps the wrongdoer has done, before we have had a chance to resolve the situation, we think we can just toss our feelings aside and move on. And then we just try to avoid those people so we don't have to deal with it. Try not to think about it. But I think no matter how much we stuff or avoid, one day we might just run into that person, or something will remind us again of that hurt. Holding on to these feelings of resentment and anger can take its toll. And there's research to back this up. Studies indicate people who don't forgive the wrongs committed against them tend to have negative indicators of health, See, medicine has told us this. Negative indicators of health and well-being, more stress-related disorders, lower immune system function, and worse rates of cardiovascular disease than the population as a whole. In effect, by failing to forgive, we punish ourselves. In contrast, people who forgive may have better health, fewer episodes of clinical depression, longer marriages, which I hope is good. If it's a healthy marriage, it's good. And better social support, another indicator of well-being. They receive better social support because they get along better with others who in turn come to their aid. So see, it's good for you. It's good for you to forgive. But just because I said that, so it's good to give up chocolate. But are you going to do it? You know, it's not so easy, right? Overeating is bad for you. Gonna give it up, right? What feels good, right? If someone has been deeply hurt, betrayed, or suffered a great loss at the hands of someone else, how does one even begin to move toward that pain and resentment to lift it? And first, it's by remembering. Ask yourself what really happened. How did it make you feel at the time? To what extent did you contribute to the incident? How does it continue to impact your life? Reflecting on it, sometimes you may realize it wasn't as bad as you thought. Maybe you realize it was worse than I thought. Sometimes you realize the true extent of your feelings of bitterness and resentment and how it's been impacting you. Another step is to try and understand the person from whom it came from. What was going on in their life at the time? What was their upbringing? How did they look at life and face life? For Everett Worthington, what he began to see was the incident with his mother through the eyes of the youth who had been caught in the botched robbery. Once he saw those scared boys who acted impulsively, who probably thought they were just knocking her out and didn't mean to kill her. It started to change how he felt about the situation, and he could feel some empathy and compassion for those boys who killed his mother. Only love, empathy, compassion, and humility are strong and brave enough to slay the dragon. But there's one really important point. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. There may be circumstances when in one's heart you have forgiven somebody, but maybe it's not physically safe for you to reconcile with them. Maybe you know they're not a person who will be good for you in the long run. You can forgive someone in your heart, knowing, well, that's who they are, that's what they came from. I don't need to be involved in that destruction in my life anymore. There's that kind of forgiveness too. Forgiveness isn't sanctioning unkind actions or forgetting what happened. It isn't justifying or condemning one's actions or seeking justice. Acknowledging facts, acknowledging the loss you feel, that there may be no change in that offending person. What's important is the internal effect that forgiveness has on you. Recognize that you can forgive the person without forgiving the act, and forgive yourself. That's how you can start releasing the dragon. It's a spiritual journey and discipline as you start down the path. On this Mother's Day, I think of the story of a little girl named Betsy. And in her case, reconciliation wasn't possible. She was born in the U.S. in the late 1920s. Her mother, and if you can imagine this, her mother in the 1920s was an anorexic bulimic. I don't know if many women knew about that then, and men. She had trouble with addiction to diet pills. She wanted to look like the ladies in the movies, right? And how do you do that when down the corner at the pharmacy is that wonderful ice cream that you can get and all sorts of things? Her mother would criticize Betsy and complain about her. Betsy's father treated her much better, but he was a traveling salesman, especially as they got into the Depression, and he wasn't around a lot. So it was just Betsy and her mom and her two younger siblings. When you got the secret. When my mom, Betsy, when her parents weren't together, they weren't happy. It was suggested that religion would help my mom's mother. Previously, they were non-practicing Jews, and Betsy's father joined a Reform synagogue. Lo and behold, that didn't help the marital problems, and her mother continued to have mental health problems. By the time Betsy was in 6th grade, the focus changed to my mother. She and her mom didn't get along well. Her mother said if Betsy was out of the house, maybe then it would get better. Maybe then her mother could get well. So Betsy's father, I don't know why, found a private Catholic boarding school for girls for his little Jewish daughter. Villa Maria, that was not too far away for visits and didn't cost too much. Being Jewish, of course, Betsy felt like an outsider, and she hated Villa Maria. She couldn't even go and take Mass because she was Jewish. She would sit alone in a dark library while all the other girls went to Mass. She said she even would make her own little wafers and had her little missal and would pretend all by herself in the dark, cold library. And of course, when Betsy returned home, her parents were still having problems. And when she was in 9th grade, her parents divorced. Again, in the 40s, her parents divorced. And the same year, her father married his secretary. Woohoo! Someone who her mother hadn't thought much of came to live into their house. And 5 years later, Betsy's mother died at the age of 41, probably due to anorexia. And years later, after Betsy's father died and her stepmother moved out of the house where Betsy had lived, a letter was found that Mom had written to her mother when she was at the Villa Maria. In the letter, Betsy pleaded for her mother's love, for she never knew if her mother loved or approved of her. And you might ask, what does this story have to do with forgiveness? Or you might really know what it has to do with forgiveness. Imagine little Betsy growing up. Imagine resentment, conflicted feelings she always carried about her mother. Her desire for the approval that she never received. What was she supposed to do as the child, as the teenager, as the daughter to resolve this? What was she going to do with her feelings as an adult about her mother after her mother was gone? Several years ago, the UU church that I grew up in wanted to form a facilitators group for parents. And people had suggested my mom go to the training to be a facilitator. And a social worker facilitated that group. And as part of it, they were supposed to fill out this worksheet on self-esteem. And my mom had said she had a real hard time writing out this worksheet. She didn't really feel she had a lot of self-esteem. And the social worker began to work privately with my mother. And they talked about ways of finding closure. Even though my mom's mother had died, the social worker suggested she write a letter, knowing she would never send it, but writing in the letter all the things she had always wanted to say, and even maybe reading it aloud to the air like she was reading it to her mother. And writing a letter, even when you know it's not going to be sent, can be a rich and healing experience. The act of writing can bring it all out, make it concrete. The thoughts and feelings that may have only been internal and unrealized before. Maybe when you write the words, you realize it wasn't as bad as you thought, or maybe it was worse. Or maybe you can realize, yeah, I should have felt bad. I should have felt hurt. My mom realized early on, I'm never going to make my children feel like I felt. She made us feel like we were the smartest people in the world and the most wonderful, right? She was never going to let it happen. Sometimes she told me, you know, you're not a perfect person. I have to tell you that, even though that's the way she made me feel. Sometimes writing it in a letter is a safer way to communicate it. Maybe it will make it safer for you to send a letter than face the person. Maybe you'll never send the letter, but you can let it all out. Let it all out. She said all the things she wanted to say, all the reasons why her mother should be proud of her. Even though she never said it directly to her mom, she felt great relief. Her working through this has also helped me find my own peace about a woman I never met, about her mother's mother, and frankly, about my grandpa, how he let all these things happen between what happened with the mother's mother and the stepmom and everything, now that he's gone. My mom was a great model for me in terms of that kind of forgiveness she went through. How does one release the dragon of unforgiveness? By deeply reflecting on what had happened and how it continues to impact you, by considering the other person's frame of mind at the time and maybe allowing a little empathy to enter in. Then by taking the risk of being vulnerable and offering the gift of forgiveness. Whether the other person is alive or not, you may give yourself the gift of a peaceful heart. Only love, empathy, compassion, and humility are strong enough to enter the lair, slay the dragon, and transform the tin ruminations into gold. How little it takes to make us sad. A word of derision or contempt is enough. A sharp word of criticism or a face turned away and a shrug of the shoulders. An unthinking word or a deed of omission. And how little it takes to make us happy. Only a cheery hello from a passing friend, only a sign of understanding from a neighbor or a coworker. How it takes very little to make our world a pretty good world after all, and everybody in it the salt of the earth to us. It takes very little to nerve us to stand up to life. And since it doesn't take much to lift the sad from their sorrow, deliver the fearful from their fear, and rally the wavering, isn't it a crime not to do so when and where the opportunity is ripe? May we be bold and walk the path of forgiveness, heal old wounds, mend broken bridges, and may we find a bit of gold, not tin, around each corner, and growing peace in our hearts on each step of the way. May it be so, and let us sing. There is more love somewhere, number 95 in our gray hymnal.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love. is more peace. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There's more joy. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
This is a time in our service when we will pass the plate and accept your offerings. You may also go to our website to make a donation online. A portion of the offering will be shared this month with the Lancaster LGBTQ+ Coalition. The coalition is committed to building a supportive and enriching community abundant in opportunities for LGBTQ+ individuals and those with a stake in creating a more inclusive Lancaster County. Before we pass the plate, let us read in unison the affirmation of faith. It's found in the front of the gray hymnal. And for those on Zoom, I believe it will appear in the chat. We'll read it first in English and then in Spanish. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And the Lord, as the Spirit, as the plates may now be passed. And while the plates are being passed, I'll be making some announcements. So do look to our weekly email newsletter, the Love Letter, for weekly need-to-knows and events at UUCL, as well as our Facebook page and the website calendar. To sign up for the newsletter, you can contact our office. We gratefully receive the generous gifts of your offerings, freely given, and dedicate them to the work and aspirations of this congregation.
So as Linda extinguishes our chalice, I'll read words of benediction adapted from the Reverend Susan Mankar Steele. Much of our shared ministry together is a benediction, a speaking well of each other and the world, a speaking well of what we value, honesty, truthfulness, forgiveness, and trust, a speaking well of our efforts, a speaking well of our dreams. This is how we celebrate life, through speaking well of it. Honesty, love, forgiveness, trust, living our life like a benediction, and becoming a word well spoken. May it be so. Go in peace, go in love, go in joy, and let it be.
Please sing along if you would like to. You may rise if you would like. You don't have to, but you can. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. speaking words of wisdom, let it be. In my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Speak words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. For though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There's words of wisdom, let it be. We have our own Alan Dinnan on the piano. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary calls to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Here we go. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. One more time. And we'll words of wisdom, let it be. Oh, the joy of being human.